I'm going to paint like a little pouch with sunflowers. I bought this at the Hobby Lobby for $1.29. It's a cotton pouch. And maybe I should just cut that off. I use fabric paint and I only paint on cotton, and this is like another little pouch that I painted, and I keep my mic in here. It's always nice. It's a nice gift to give to somebody who has everything. So what I usually paint the fabric and then I make the pouch, but for this one I'm just going to turn this upside down because I paint the whole thing. My paint is very soft, very washable. It's not going to make this any harder than what it is. So I'm just turning it upside down because I want to protect the one side from the other side when I paint. And I'm just going to use painter's tape today, which I'm just going to put down like that. If it's a big surface, I usually take a piece of plastic and then I just tape it down. What do you call these brushes? Chip brush. And I have my yellow there, but I don't want it this dark because I'm going to paint sunflowers and I want my sunflower to be that color. So I am going to maybe just put some white with it, just to lighten it up to a very light yellow. And I have about the same amount of white that I have yellow right now. I'm going to use a little popsicle stick to see. It's a very light yellow now. That's the color I want. You can totally paint any color. And I'm just going to use a lot of water. See, I want a very... I'm just putting water in my plate there. I want very little paint. I'm going to start up here with the zipper. This is a nice dirty job. And I'm just going to maybe put a little bit more on that, on the sides. You can use a sponge also. But I still want some. I'm just dipping my brush into this yellow water now. I'm not even using any paint. Just making sure I get it everywhere. Make sure I get some down here in that seam. You don't want naked seams. Okay. And I'm going to turn it around, paint the other side without pressing too hard. You can go back and forth and keep on painting. This is, I think, the back side. So I'm going to make it a little darker. We'll use this for the back. I'm going to paint anything on here. So I want it a little darker yellow. I'm using a little bit more paint and less water. I'm going to do it with, if you don't have a chip brush or a big brush, you can totally use a piece of sponge, something like this. Just wet your sponge, take some of the water out, put it in your paint, and paint with that. This is actually easier than the brush for me. So I'm just spreading all of this. There we go. You have to use fabric paint, and not all fabric paint work like this. If you go to my website, you'll see there's a lot of videos about different fabric paints and what they do. I like, if you want to go buy it in a store, Hobby Lobby have Plaid. Now I'm putting too much paint on again. When it dries, it might be a little lighter. So this is it for now. With the sponge also, it's easier to make sure you get all the little corners there on the sides. So now I'm going to wait until I can paint the sunflower, because I want it to be like a watercolor sunflower. So I am going to, see, took too much paint there. I am going to just use my yellow, which is this color yellow. It's more like a, it's the prime yellow. And for this, I need to like at least draw something so I have an idea where I'm going. I'm going to use my blue, and I think this is the right size for the inside of the flower. We will go down. Yeah, I know it's very blue now. This is a watercolor pencil, but I'm going to make the inside blue, so I am not too worried about that. Let's put one down here. I know I want about that size of a flower leaf. So what I'm going to do is, it's better to wait until this is totally dry before you do this step. I'm just going to fold it like in half and try and cut one out. Let's see if we can cut more than one. Taper it off as you go to the top a little bit more. Let's see what this one looks like. I think this one will work, yes. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to lie it down. I'm going to let it come in a little bit. And I'm going to use my brown pencil and just very lightly draw the line. And then I'm going to put this one next to that one. Lightly draw the line. This one next to that one. And then I'm going to come back in and put one in between over there. One in between over there. You sometimes want them a little bit further away, not so close together, so they don't all exactly the same. Then this one is a little more definite in there. This one we'll put next to it. Okay, that's it. And now I'm just going to paint with my yellow. And this is like a 1/2 inch brush. And I'm just going to put, I still want it to look like a little bit of watercolor. So I'm just going to paint the whole every petal. Don't worry if you leave some spaces open. Depending on your fabric, this might bleed a little bit. That's okay. I want it to look more like watercolor then. And you see, if I go over that brown line, it kind of disappears. And it's okay if it stays there. I want it to be dark, yeah, in the center. I'll wet my brush again. Okay, so now I want to bring in a little bit of an orange color. So I'm gonna just use a dash of red. My red is very, very strong. I'm gonna take some of my yellow, put it over here, and see how quickly it turns it to orange. That was not even a drop. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull a little bit from my center, maybe go darker there. Maybe this is still too dark. I'm gonna just work on these. From the center, I'm just pulling a little bit of the orange on. From this one darker there. I'm gonna put a little bit of white on. My white's also very watery. You have white there. I think that should also be a flower. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now for the insides, I want to make it blue. I'm not going to put any leaves with this one. I just wanted to see this. See how the blue, where there's yellow underneath, it almost makes like a brown or a yellow or a green, like a very dark green. Because if you mix blue and yellow, you will get green. Let's play. I'm going to take some white and go around like this. Almost make it like a spiral. You can make it brown and look like a real sunflower. I just always like to mess things up. Let's see if I put a little bit of red. Will the red even show? This paint is very transparent. A lot more than acrylic paint. So you have to be aware of what color you put on top of another color. You can definitely not paint on a black background or a dark background. There we go. Okay, so now I am going to wait until it's dry, and then I'm going to draw the lines with a Sharpie, and that will bring it out a lot. And I will just cut this video, and once it's dry, I will come back and add a video of the Sharpie and how that looks. Okay, so I swirled this around a little bit so it's not so definite, and then I waited for this to dry, so my fabric's totally dry now, and you can see it's soft. It goes into the fabric. It doesn't lie on top like most of the fabric paint you buy. And now I'm ready to, you can do this with paint and a liner brush, but it's very easy to just do it with a Sharpie, because a Sharpie is a permanent marker and it doesn't wash out. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make all the lines. I want to see how thick is this Sharpie. Yeah, this one is fine. That will work. So all I'm going to do now is where I had the lines before, I'm just going to draw them. They don't need to be exact. We just want an idea. They also do not need to be exactly. We have one there. Just make like little U shapes. But all of this is totally up to you. You can also use a different color Sharpie. And that makes your sunflower stand out a lot. So I just needed to sign it, and that's it for my little video on how to paint a sunflower. I did speed it up some places so I don't paint that fast, but hopefully you enjoyed painting with me, and we have a whole train going of crafters. It's a whole playlist that we all belong to one big group, and I hope that you will enjoy painting with my friends and have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're watching this in the time that it's published. And I'm sure I'll find somebody to give this to.